bragging the other day on news, 190 or 290 somewhere. It's 5.50 a gallon. I miss my Uncle Joe. I was balling then. Now,
my Uncle Joe.
I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even show you $5 in my pocket.
Trump's beloved white South African refugees returning home in droves. Look, man, a few months ago, we checked out a video of all the white South Africans claiming of genocide and going to the US to be saved by Trump. Why now are they coming back? Let's check this video out, guys.
Africans have entered the United States as refugees since the program started in May 2025. Many white South Africans and Afrikaners have welcomed Trump's support, but insisted they nevertheless want to remain in their country. And others who left decades ago are now returning.
It's so crazy. White South Africans, often referred to as refugees by the American right, are choosing to go back to South Africa, of all places, despite the ongoing white genocide that's taking place. And yes, that's the actual term that Trump himself used last year when referring to Afrikaners.
It's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about. Farmers are being killed. They happen to be white.
You heard that right. The president who's complicit with the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza and ethnic
cleansing. So you mean to tell me that those same white people, Afrikaners that left South Africa because of genocide, decided to come back to the genocide.
In the West Bank had the audacity to accuse another country of doing a genocide. And within his first month back in office, he took action to stop said genocide. He signed an executive order which basically accuses South Africa of hypocrisy, ironically enough, because they're accusing Israel and its allies of committing a genocide at the International Court of Justice, even though they're supposedly guilty of genocide themselves, according to Donald Trump and his delusions. Now, in the same executive order, Trump announced that he would punish South Africa for their quote-unquote genocide against white South Africans by cutting off financial assistance, and he also announced in that same executive order that he's rolling out a refugee program for Afrikaners, even though he's not letting anyone else into the country. And that's not hyperbole. David J. Beer, the director of immigration studies at Cato, reports not a single refugee in the world was allowed to come legally except for white South Africans. And they rolled out the red carpet for these motherfuckers, where the deputy secretary himself greeted them with open arms when they arrived.
Welcome to the United States of America.
I remember seeing this clip, bro.
A lot of you, I think, are farmers, right? When you have quality seeds, you can put them in foreign soil and they will.
This is kind of funny to me, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, because they're all holding their American flags. You know what I'm saying? They're so excited to be in America. Like, bro, like all their issues and problems just magically go away. Yet that they probably didn't know. They did not know how rough and tough it is to actually live in the United States, bro. Compared to South Africa, bro, first of all, the cost of living is insane. And to go from living your whole life in South Africa to then moving to the United States as a refugee, hey, man, what did you expect?
Blossom,
What did
they
y'all
will bloom.
expect?
And we are excited to welcome you here to our country where we think you will bloom, and we will hopefully allow you to have fulfilling lives for your children, and then when we will benefit alongside you.
So as you can see, they treat white immigrants very differently than black and brown ones, but it's not just that the Trump regime was incredibly kind to them, because kindness is one thing. They offered these quote-unquote refugees cash assistance as well as housing, free healthcare.
Hold on. One-time grant of $1,275 per person. So I wonder, does that mean like even their kids will be able to, like, will they get with per person, meaning per kid as well? Cash assistance, depending on eligibility, you may receive aid from programs like refugee cash assistance, temporary assistance for needy families, supplemental nutrients. Food stamps. They got food stamps, bruh. Hey, housing, bro. Refugees is treated nice. Well, white refugees, we should say. white refugees, we should say, are treated very, very nicely.
Refugees, cash assistance, as well as housing, free healthcare for a year.
Free healthcare for a year? Oh my gosh! As an American citizen, bro. Free healthcare for a year, and they're eligible to work immediately upon arrival.
Job placement assistance, and even legal aid to help them navigate the complex American immigration system. And if these same benefits were offered to black and brown immigrants or even refugees, like actual refugees, right-wingers would lose their fucking minds. They'd shit their pants and foam at the mouth and talk about how we just can't afford this, but since it's being offered to white people, we don't hear a peep from them. It's almost like their opposition to immigration has some sort of racial component. And, God forbid we call them racists, because we all know that accusing somebody of racism is actually worse than racism itself. But the question is, why would these white South Africans want to risk their lives and return home back to a country that supposedly wants to genocide them? Well, let's hear it from them. Reuters reports that the South Africans who are leaving are generally citing better quality of life and a lower cost of living as part of the reason why they're returning to South.
I told y'all. Hey, the grass wasn't greener, bruh. They realized the price of gasoline, you know what I'm saying? They walked in and seen how much groceries were. They was like, oh, hell no, we got to get up out of here. Even though we done got thousands of dollars for each person of the family, even though we get food stamps, even though we've been provided with housing, it's still not enough, bro. It is still not enough for us to live the American dream, bro. Donald Trump saved us, but he didn't tell us how much it was gonna be when we go to the grocery store. When we go to fill up. Actually, I don't even know if they have cars, bruh. I don't even know, bruh. Oh my goodness.
South Africa. One South African woman who's lived in North Carolina said that health insurance is actually more affordable in South Africa, and she also prefers their schools, which isn't a shocker because we've defunded our schools in the United States. Now, a different South African expat implied that Trump was actually the reason behind his decision to leave. Reuters writes, Andrew Veitch left South Africa after being held up at gunpoint in his car, but now he feels there are greater threats in the United States, he said, citing mass shootings in public spaces, as well as violence by U.S. immigration officers. Quote, people are being shot in broad daylight. American citizens are being shot and killed, said the 53-year-old who moved to California in 2003. Quote, I don't want to live in a place like this. Goddamn.
But wait. There's genocide, man. What do you mean? There's genocide in your country. So why would you want to come to why wouldn't you want to stay in the United States? Why would you go back to even more killing? Make it make sense, bro.
So things are so bad in the United States that this refugee is willing to risk his life and go back to a country where there's supposedly a genocide taking place. Right-wingers have got to have some cognitive dissonance when they read the story, right? Probably not. They're probably not going to read this story, and that's assuming that they can read it in the first place. But listen, in all honesty, I don't blame them. They say that, South Africa isn't necessarily perfect, but it's getting better very quickly, whereas in the United States, things keep getting worse. The cost of living is skyrocketing. Health insurance keeps going up. Our schools have been defunded, and now we have an armed Gestapo terrorizing people in the streets. And they're saying this just isn't really a great environment to raise a family in, and I think that most people would probably agree with that. Now, to be fair, most of the South Africans leaving the United States, they've been here longer than their 2025 refugee counterparts, but that may soon change too, seeing as how a lot of South Africans are choosing to capitalize on a new portal that's letting them restore their South African citizenship if they so choose to. And a shocking number of them are seemingly seizing the opportunity. They're taking the government up on that offer despite the genocide that Donald Trump is concerned trolling about. Now, we don't have exact numbers, but there is a growing return to South Africa movement on Facebook, where you have a lot of expats from South Africa that are living in Europe and the US who are planning to go back because the country's getting better. And on top of that, the people that Reuters spoke to, they said, we know people who are also returning home. But the biggest tell, in my opinion, was this. Reuters continues, Anton Van Herden, CEO of employment agency DNA Employer of Record, said inquiries from white South Africans seeking to return had jumped 70% in the past 6 months. Angel Jones, CEO of Johannesburg-based recruitment firm Homecoming X, reported a roughly 30% spike in inquiries since 2024. Damn. And I've got to say, it's really coincidental to see a lot of white South Africans leave specifically after Donald Trump became president again. I wonder if there's a connection there. I wonder if he's objectively making the country a worse place to live. But basically, South Africans are choosing to jump ship because they don't expect things to get better in the United States anytime soon. Nobody does. But as bad as it is here, you would think that poverty and political instability and having an embarrassing imbecile as president is going to be preferable to genocide, right? Because if they go back home, they're going to be... Well, as you might have guessed, there is no genocide in South Africa. Shocker, I know. But the white genocide myth became mainstream among the American right after white South African Nazis like Elon.
But we've been on this, y'all. We've been done said this. Months ago, we been said this, y'all. Where they been at? We been done said this. You feel me? Hey, I've been living in SA for, I don't know, for what, 2 years, bro. I have never heard of anything like this until Elon said something about it, bro. I haven't heard no SA person say anything about it. Everybody's living happy and harmony, you feel me? Everybody together, just enjoying each other. You feel me? Like, it's good vibes over here, bro. It's good vibes. I don't see it. I don't see it, bro.
Elon Musk served them that white victim narrative on a silver platter. The crux of their bullshit claim is that white South African farmers are being murdered and having their land stolen from them in a racially motivated crackdown by the South African government, but that is just not true. It's complete bullshit. The South African government passed the Expropriation Act, which clarified existing authority that it already had to expropriate land without compensation for the public good. Now, our government has a similar power. It's called eminent domain. But right-wingers claimed that the Expropriation Act was going to be used to steal land from white South Africans since they still hold the majority of land in South Africa, even in a post-apartheid system. So the fear was that the government would try to mitigate past racial injustices and attempt to end institutional racism against black South Africans by taking land from white people and giving it to black people. That never actually happened. In fact, the law hasn't even been used once. No land has been taken. And ironically, Trump, who's accusing them of doing this, has seized more land from white people than the South African government. He's seizing land to build his wall on the southern border. He's taking land from white people, but yet he's saying, oh my God, they're taking land from white people. That, my friends, is just so incredibly hilarious to me. You can't make this shit up. Now, as for the claim that white farmers in South Africa are being murdered, is that actually true? And the answer is yes, it has happened because South Africa has a comparatively high murder rate. But the right has used anecdotes of white farmer murders as evidence that whites are being systematically targeted and disproportionately murdered when, in fact, whites are underrepresented in murder rates in South Africa compared to black South Africans, who are more often than not the victims of murder. And we put out a more in-depth video about this very topic last year, and I'll link to that down below if you want to watch it. But the TLDR is that there was never a white genocide in South Africa. Black South Africans to this day are the actual victims of racial discrimination, contrary to popular belief.
Dang. Why weren't they getting you know what I'm saying, refugee? You feel me? Why wasn't the black South Africans, you know, picked up for refugee? They were getting killed too. They were farmers. They were getting killed. You feel me?
There was never a white genocide in South Africa. Black South Africans to this day are the actual victims of racial discrimination, contrary to popular belief. Even though apartheid ended, remnants of that white supremacist system are still very much embedded within state institutions. Abolishing apartheid didn't automatically create parity between black and white South Africans. More has to be done to address past and present racial injustices. So the white South Africans who are crying victim are just mad that the incremental steps being taken by the government to mitigate institutional racism threatens the advantages that they've benefited from simply because they're white. Basically, they think that
they felt like they felt like they were getting stripped from their, you know what I'm saying, their higher ups. So like, you know what, Trump is doing his thing over there. You feel me? I think we'll be more successful over there with our white people. You know what I'm saying? We're able to be racist. We're able to take advantage of certain systems. You know what I'm saying? Like they were taking advantage for so long over here, and they seeing those advantages just being taken away and taken away and taken away. And now they're like, yo, you know what? Trump and Elon are doing their thing over there. Let me go over there where we can still take advantage.
Equality is tantamount to oppression, much like whites in the United States. So they're crying victim, and in some cases, they're crying genocide because they don't like that the government is taking steps to make people more equal. So there was never a white genocide in South Africa, but the fact that so many South Africans are leaving the United States to return home now makes that claim so much more laughable. And it really speaks to how bad things are here, where if people have another country that they can go to, they're doing it. And even some Trump supporters are admitting that things...
Right, though, like, if there is so-called genocide going on in South Africa, if you left America, why would you go back to South Africa? There's so many other countries. You know what I'm saying? You go to the UK, United Kingdom. You feel me? You could go to France. I don't know. You could go anywhere, bro. Why go back to a place where there's genocide? Supposedly.
have gotten so much worse since he took office. And this is a little bit off topic, but I just have to show you this quick clip to show you what I mean by that.
Now we've been chatting to two South Floridians who tell two very different stories of two very different Americas. One is Eric Silverman. He's a real estate investor. We chatted with him after he was filling up his luxury car with premium gas. And the other is Richard Stanley. He's a construction worker who we talked to right after he filled up his pickup truck with diesel. I want you to hear from both of these men about how they're processing this moment.
Oil prices go up and down, stock market goes up and down, interest rates go up and down. In the short run, it sucks, but I think that it's going to be short run.
He was bragging the other day on news, 190 or 290 somewhere. It's 5.50 a gallon. I miss my Uncle Joe. I was balling then. Now,
my Uncle Joe.
I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even show you $5 in my pocket.
And Anna, Eric and Richard come from two very different walks of life. But what these two men have in common is they both voted for President Trump in 2024. You heard from Richard
Uncle
there,
Joe.
the construction worker, that he misses his Uncle Joe.
Oh, that clip is amazing. I love that clip so much. Uncle Joe, come back. Oh,
Bruh.
we miss you. I don't even fuck with Joe Biden like that, but that's just brilliant. You love to see that, right? But
hilarious.
I showed you that clip because it speaks to how dissatisfied so many people are with this regime. They don't care that Trump is dropping bombs on schools or committing a genocide or that he tried to steal the last election. They care about how inconvenient he's making life for them. And Trump is very much making things inconvenient for people. And, you know, we live in a country where I genuinely believe that Americans would vote for Hitler too if Hitler too promised to make gas like 50 cents cheaper.
Facts.
So the second things get a little bit more inconvenient and unaffordable, that's when everybody starts to cry uncle. Some literally cry uncle. Uncle Joe, come back.
Like the American people they're just so gullible, bro. They'll believe anything. You know what I'm saying? Trump will say he'll do this, and hey, yo, they'll hop on it. You know what I'm saying? They'll jump and they'll bite it, bro. Like, fell for the bait, bro. They all fell for the bait.
It's just amazing. Now, if some of Trump's own supporters are really starting to feel the squeeze, it's not too surprising to see white South Africans who are presumably pretty right-leaning cry uncle themselves and choose to...
Imagine, bro. He had that much power to persuade people from a whole nother country, white people from a whole nother country to come and to persuade the whole world that there was a genocide going on in except South Africa. South Africa knew. They didn't believe that. But he had enough power in the media to persuade people that... Bruh, media is scary, bro. The media is scary because people are so gullible and they'll believe everything that they see on the internet. And all he had to do was just say that there's a genocide going on and the whole of United States believed it. Everybody believed it besides South Africans. And he was able to get the Afrikaner refugees to come to the US, bruh. It's just mind-boggling, bro, how gullible the US citizens are, bro. US people. We're gullible people, bro. We're gullible people.
To go back to South Africa, choose to ask the country that they abandoned to take them back. It's amazing. It's so rich. White South Africans are the only immigrants that Trump was willing to let into the country, and a bunch of them are noping the fuck out. thus confirming that claims about white genocide were completely fucking fabricated. Will Trump walk back that claim and finally recognize real genocides like the one that he's complicit with in Palestine? Well, of course not. But it's example number 9,378 of why you should never take anything they say seriously ever.
Facts. 100%, bro. He cooked. He cooked, y'all. Look, man, let me know what you guys thought about this. Look, I'm with my SA people. You know what I'm saying? I live here with you guys now. Do we accept them back? You know what I'm saying? Because at one point, y'all traded me. You feel me, for them. I mean, y'all traded me for them. So now, do we accept them back now? Like, do we welcome them back with open arms? You feel me? I think we should welcome them back, y'all. I think we should welcome them back. They was bamboozled. You feel me? They was bamboozled. Everybody gets bamboozled by the U.S. Even U.S. citizens get bamboozled. You know what I mean? So they learn from their experience. You feel me? They was bamboozled. We welcome them back with open arms, and they learn from their experiences. That's what I say, y'all. That's what I say. Let me know what you guys think, man. Hope you guys enjoy my reaction, my commentary. Comment down below other vids I should check out on the channel, man. Stay tuned for next, y'all.